Inspector General of Police Mohammed Adamu bans FSARS from patrols, stop and search duties as Nigerians lament over SARS menace. Fuel marketers hint petrol price may drop this month. In international news, infected and contagious U.S. President Trump ventures out in a motorcade to salute cheering supporters as 3 Secret Service agents in the vehicle got exposed to the coronavirus. And in sport, Victor Moses to leave Chelsea, Inter Milan offers loan deal.
This is ANN News.
I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Nigeria's COVID-19 infections tally is now almost 60,000 as the Nigeria Center for Disease Control recorded 58 new cases on Sunday. And CDC also announced the discharge of 50 persons in the previous 24 hours. No death was recorded in the country. The new cases were found in 9 states. Plateau topped 18, Lagos recorded 15, and Katsina 10, Ogun, Kaduna, Edo, Ekiti. The Federal Capital Territory and Ondo states recorded cases in very low single digits. 50,768 cases have been discharged across the country. So far, 1,130 deaths have been recorded. Meanwhile, the health agency says it is not time for Nigerians to let down their guard because coronavirus is still in the country and all health protocols are still in place. National Coordinator of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, Dr. Sani Aliyu, says Nigerians arriving in the country will bear the cost of COVID-19 tests because the federal government cannot afford free COVID-19 tests for passengers. Aliyu explained that the country would run out of test kits if it chooses to test the 5,000 to 7,000 daily arrivals into the country. Inspector General of Police Mohammed Adamu has banned with immediate effect officers of the Federal Special Anti-Robbery Squad and other tactical squads of the force from operating on Nigerian roads. This directive was contained in a statement by the Force Public Relations Officer, Frank Mba, on Sunday afternoon. The ban is coming on the heels of cries by Nigerians online who are calling for the abolition of the police unit, SARS. The unit has been accused of several human rights violations, especially of young Nigerians who are seen carrying laptop computers. In the new directive by the Inspector General, FSARS and other tactical squads of the police such as the Special Tactical Squads, Intelligence Response Team, Anti-Cultism Squad and other tactical squads are to stop all activities on Nigerian roads. The activities include routine patrols and other conventional low-risk duties such as stop and search duties, checkpoints, mounting of roadblocks, traffic checks, indiscriminate and unauthorized search of mobile phones and laptops. The IGP also stated that police officers must always appear in their police uniforms or approved tactical gear. Adamu says despite being a critical component of the police force, FSARS are now to concentrate and respond only to cases of armed robbery, kidnapping and other violent crimes when the need arises. Meanwhile, Nigerians say they need more visible actions because these press statements come year on year with no actions. In commemoration of World Teachers' Day today, President Muhammadu Buhari has approved a special salary scale for Nigerian teachers. The president says the new salary scheme is to encourage teachers in delivering better service. The president also increased the numbers of years of service from 35 to 40. President Buhari, represented by Education Minister Adamu, announced this at the celebration of the World Teachers' Day in Abuja. The theme of this year's World Teachers' Day is Teachers Leading in Crisis, Reimagining the Future. World Teachers' Day has been held annually on October the 5th since 1994 to commemorate the anniversary of the adoption of the 1966 ILO UNESCO recommendation concerning the status of teachers. Oil marketers are optimistic that going by the fall in global crude oil prices, the pump price of petrol may reduce marginally this month. The union says since the cost of petrol has been largely determined by the price of crude oil, the recent marginal plunge in the cost of crude oil could lead to a drop in petrol pump price across board. National President of Petroleum Products Retail Outlets Owners Association of Nigeria, Billy Gillis-Harry, says oil marketers, particularly members of Petroan, will continue to call for a fixed price of petrol across the country. Food insecurity in Nigeria has always been described as appalling, despite a number of efforts geared towards addressing the problem. The Global Initiative for Food Security and Ecosystem Preservation, promoting the initiative, is ready to train some Nigerian families on how homestead gardening can have significant impact on food security in the country. Correspondent Kelechi Mekalam has the story.
Christiana Agboy is tending to her backyard farm, her newfound passion. The widow and mother of 5 lost her only source of livelihood during the COVID-19 lockdown. She has benefited from a family farming program and intensive training on backyard farming. Now she rears snails, runs a poultry, and cultivates vegetables for business and personal consumption.
They taught us a lot. How to do farm snail, how to do vegetable, and how to do poultry. So they taught us later with their promise that they will provide it for us. They fulfill their promise, then come with the snail, they do the cage, they are the ones that provide all these ones they are see. By the time that my snail will fill this cage, I will sell it and make money and train my children.
It's a very, very good idea. They encourage people. Even I myself, because where I'm working, I was sacked since almost 3 years ago, doing nothing. But when I contact this thing, at least I can, every morning I feed them and I'm happy the way I be with them every day.
The family farming program is the latest of the Lagos Food Bank's solution to the food crisis. The indigenous organization, established in 2016, seeks to improve food production and nutrition in the country. So far, it has reached over 1.5 million people in various food drives and outreaches.
We try as much as possible to say, how can these beneficiaries be self-reliant in such a way that they do not totally depend on the food bank for their daily living. So we started a job placement program where we marry their skills with available jobs in menial jobs that they can fend on. And also we started a family farming program that was established to start an agricultural system that is maintained by family. And we also rely on the labor of the family to make it happen. And one of our goals for this program is to empower women to be more self-reliant, also to give our beneficiary a sense of dignity where they are able to grow their own food in a small way and also sell part of it to increase their income.
There was already a shortage of food supply for Nigeria's growing population even before the outbreak of COVID-19. The Food and Agriculture Organization projected that over 7 million people would be affected by August, and the numbers have continued to rise. The problem has been exacerbated by massive flooding and insecurity in farming communities, so initiatives and agricultural practices such as family farming will help improve food security across the country.
Coming up, African stories. Sudanese government signs final peace deal with rebel groups. And later, international news. Infected and contagious U.S. President Trump ventures out in a motorcade to salute cheering supporters as 3 Secret Service agents in the vehicle got exposed to the coronavirus.
You are watching ANN.
Whether in your house, at your office, on your phone or online, we are there. We have the facts behind the headlines. We cut to the chase with the news you really need. We cover every angle. We are the bigger, better news network. We are African News Network. ANN. Watch ANN News on MITV from a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. The Sudanese government and rebel groups have signed the final peace deal in the nation's capital, Khartoum. The parties said on Sunday they will waste no time in implementing the agreement. Correspondent Patrick Oyet reports.
The agreement provides for the return of refugees to their own homes without being prosecuted, even if they had been part of any opposition armed group in Sudan. Sudan's government says the agreement marks an end to war in the country.
We are ready to work with all groups for peace. Sudan belongs to all of us. We have fought for long and war has not benefited us. I call on all Sudanese, let's come together and work for a lasting peace in our country.
However, two armed groups reject the current peace process. They say they need a separate implementation plan. The two armed groups are also demanding that their armies should not be reintegrated into Sudan's armed forces for at least 20 more years. They further want the constitution of Sudan changed, declaring Sudan as a secular state as opposed to the current Islamic state. But the 7 armed opposition groups forming Sudan's Revolutionary Front that signed the deal are reiterating their commitment to the deal.
This is a historical day for us. We believe that this is the beginning of a great Sudan, a Sudan where there is justice, where there is equality, and where there is peace.
South Sudan, which mediated the peace deal, is calling on Sudanese peace parties to fully implement the deal.
Also see our mediation as a payment of a huge debt of gratitude we owe the Sudan for the role it played and continues to play as a member of IGAD and as a grantor of our peace agreement.
Some members of the international community are pledging support for Sudan's peace process.
This historic achievement addresses decades of conflicts and suffering. It also requires a firm and unwavering commitment to implement the agreement fully and without delay.
The peace deal is seen as important for Sudan because it would cut spending on the military and provide the much-needed funds to stabilize the economy.
Zimbabwe has reopened its airports for international scheduled flights 6 months after they were closed following the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. The Civil Aviation Authority of Zimbabwe said it was thrilled to welcome back international passengers into the country. Correspondent Faraya Wakusuya has the story.
Welcome to Robert Mugabe International Airport. Words that hadn't been spoken for the last 6 months, but which hundreds of returning travelers heard again on Thursday. The resumption of international air travel brought relief for those who'd been blocked from leaving the country too. Edgar Chipunza was on holiday when the pandemic broke out and ended up spending 6 months working remotely. Now he's heading back to the trenches.
Because I was supposed to do some site inspections, I was depending on my assistant in South Africa. So now they want me as soon as possible. So I'm very happy now to say I'm going to conclude quite a number of big projects I'm working on there.
International travel is key to reviving the hard-hit tourism industry, which hopes to see more of these jumbo jets laden with visitors parked here. Their safety is paramount. And so social distancing, sanitizing and hand washing are the order of the day, as well as testing for those passengers who may not have been given the all clear from where they're coming from. 2 laboratories have set up testing and holding facilities.
We can handle almost all passengers coming off the flight, but we expect that most passengers will come with their own PCR tests, but those that don't have will be able to test them speedily and give them the results within at least 90 minutes. If someone tests positive, firstly we manage the anxiety that I've tested positive in a foreign land, so I will be there to walk them through the steps. We liaise with Port Health and the ministry. There are various private quarantine lodges that are available for them to go to. So we will try and make it as easy as possible for them and less inconvenient.
The Bank of Ghana has held its monetary policy rate at an 8-year low of 14.5%, saying that risks to the outlook for inflation and growth are broadly balanced. Policymakers also noted that the policy and regulatory relief measures recently introduced have provided relief to customers severely impacted by the pandemic. Correspondent Nabil Ahmed Rafai has the story.
Ghana's economy is on the path to recovery. As lockdown restrictions are further lifted, businesses are trying to bounce back. This is the third time in a row the central bank has held the interest rate at 14.5% since the COVID-19 outbreak started. It's designed to help businesses access affordable credit, but some economists were hoping for a rate cut.
The projections show that inflation is likely to moderate. So if inflation is to moderate, then one would expect the interest rate also to come down a little bit to reflect that projections. And again, the actual inflation has also reduced from 11 to 10.5%. That also gives an indication that inflation in terms of prices, general prices, are quite better. So coupled with that, we would expect the central bank to have reduced it at least by 50 or 100 basis points.
The country's GDP dropped by 3.2% in the second quarter on an annual basis due to COVID-19 lockdown restrictions.
This year's election could pose a further risk to the government's budget plans that were already disrupted by the pandemic. Governments in Ghana historically spend more during election years in an attempt to win votes. The Bank of Ghana says the target of limiting the fiscal deficit at 5% of GDP will not be hit.
The government has revised its 6.9% projected GDP growth for this year to 0.9%, but the central bank predicts the economy to grow more than that, forecasting between 2 to 2.5%.
Based on what the central bank is telling us and some discoveries in terms of oil discoveries, coupled with confidence in the economy based on the outcome of the election, we are likely to recover much quickly than expected. And one would expect Ghana to do somewhere within 3 to 5% going to next year.
Despite the positive outlook for Ghana's economy, the central bank says it is unclear whether the lending rate will be reduced or increased before the year ends. This is due to uncertainty of government spending as it tries to further limit the shocks caused by the pandemic.
When we return, international news. Infected and contagious U.S. President Trump ventures out in a motorcade to salute cheering supporters as 3 Secret Service agents in the vehicle got exposed to the coronavirus. And later sport, Victor Moses to leave Chelsea. Inter Milan offers loan deal.
You are watching ANN.
We are on the road every day, canvassing throughout Africa for news you really need. We follow this story everywhere, from every corner of Nigeria to the wide African expanse. We bring you what's making headlines. We connect you with news you can use. ANN, African News Network, in a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. It was an eventful and frightening weekend in the U.S. as President Donald Trump was airlifted to a military medical center just outside of Washington, D.C. for treatment after testing positive for the coronavirus. Trump's medical team had given conflicting updates on the president's condition over the weekend. Responding to reporters' questions on Friday, the lead doctor had said the president did not receive oxygen when it was learned that the president's blood oxygen level had suddenly dropped twice on Friday. On Saturday, he walked that back, saying he received oxygen for a short period on Friday. He also said the president had received a steroid that is typically only recommended for the very sick. But the doctors maintained Trump's health was improving and that he could be discharged as early as today. Infected and contagious President Trump briefly left his hospital suite on Sunday morning and took a motorcade ride in front of the hospital grounds, saluting supporters who had gathered there since Friday. That move has been condemned by medical experts who said the president disregarded precautions meant to contain the deadly virus that has caused him to be hospitalized. The virus has also killed 210,000 Americans. Since Trump announced his coronavirus positive status on Friday, some of his aides, campaign staff, 3 Republican senators and 1 governor who were with him during the White House announcement of his Supreme Court nominee and at the presidential debate have also tested positive. So has the First Lady, who is self-isolating at the White House. Nearly 5 million residents of the Spanish capital of Madrid are now barred from leaving the area since Friday evening, making it the first European capital to get back into lockdown as a result of surging coronavirus cases. The new lockdown will last at least 14 days and could be extended if needed. Correspondent Raul Pathak reports.
Spain's capital back in lockdown. Police have set up checkpoints to control the major routes in and out of the city. These new restrictions will affect a total of nearly 5 million people in the city of Madrid and 9 other neighbouring municipalities. The World Health Organization registered the contagion rate as 850 cases per 100,000 people. That's the worst in Europe. There have been concerns that trying to isolate a city as large as the Spanish capital would be practically impossible. Madrid registers more than 2.2 million journeys a day between the city and the rest of the region's districts.
Now, when it comes to this second lockdown, it's the economic impact that really concerns the Madrid government. In fact, their Justice Chief, Enrique Lopez, recently said that the closure for 1 month could cost the Madrid economy up to $9.4 billion. And the biggest impact will be felt, arguably, by the hospitality industry.
You just have to look around. We were improving little by little, and now we go down again. The government is a bit lost. They should think about measures that can make a difference, because I think these measures just don't make any difference at all. They're closing one neighborhood after the other, and then Madrid. They should think about something that actually works.
Yes, it will affect us. I was going myself to the office every day, and now they asked us not to go in, for example. We have to be conscious and responsible, of course. But I think that lockdowns and not letting people spend money is a way to kill our economy, and that's an unfair move from the government.
The heated debate between the regional and central governments on how best to handle the crisis in Madrid looks set to continue. The regional government took their argument about the legality of the restrictions to the Supreme Court on Friday. A decision on this is expected early next week.
Thailand is doing whatever it would take to revamp tourism in its Phuket resort island, where COVID-19 has decimated the economy because of travel curbs. Efforts include reception of foreign vacationers from China starting tomorrow. Correspondent Martin Lowe is on the island of Phuket.
It's one of the world's top tourist destinations. Phuket, a tropical island lying at the edge of the Indian Ocean, normally earns more than 80% of its income from international visitors. But the COVID-19 lockout has seen Thailand's richest province turned into a ghost town, with many hotels, bars, restaurants and shops shuttered. Those who make their living from holidaymakers now stand in food queues, hoping for a handout, mostly organised by foreign expats. Thai authorities have run out of money to give support. This is a modern-day breadline.
I drive a motorcycle taxi, but since COVID came, it's been terrible. My income has disappeared with no tourists coming.
My life has changed so much. Before, I was babysitting 2 or 3 children a day. Now no one wants me.
Well, the worst example and the reason why I started delivering food was this young man brought a drug into a police station so he would get arrested, get put in jail and get fed 3 meals a day. Just seeing the fact of people eating bugs and getting lizards and snakes and just eating them.
Thailand has kept its COVID cases low with strict lockdowns and a ban on foreign tourists, but many are suffering real hardship through lost income.
At first, free food was handed out to those in need by the Phuket authorities, but they've run out of funds. They say they don't know when they can resume. For now, the only relief is coming from community efforts.
I'm grateful to foreigners who see how much we're affected by the pandemic. I would like to thank all the expats for helping Phuket.
We're so lucky to live in this country, and Thailand has done so much for us over the years. It's an honour to try and give back a little bit somehow.
Thailand saw more than 2,500 suicides in the first half of the year, up 22%, the situation being linked to the pandemic. Phuket's plight is all the more shocking at an island which in normal times contributes $12.5 billion a year to the Thai economy from tourism earnings.
Up next, sport. Victor Moses to leave Chelsea. Inter Milan offers loan deal. Please stay with us.
You are watching ANN.
We are on the road every day, canvassing throughout Africa for news you really need. We follow the story everywhere, from every corner of Nigeria to the wide African expanse. We bring you what's making headlines. We connect you with news you can use. ANN, African News Network, in a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. In sport, Super Eagles friendly matches with Algeria, Mexico and Tunisia will all be behind closed doors without fans present. Nigeria will meet Algeria on Friday, Mexico and Tunisia next Tuesday, all behind closed doors. Belgian striker Paul Onuachu will replace Victor Osimhen, who has been excused by the Nigeria Football Federation. Inter Milan are ready to accept Victor Moses with another loan deal after Chelsea's boss Frank Lampard admits Moses will not make his first team plans. Moses' contract at Stamford Bridge expires in June 2022. He had spent the last season on loan and was sent out to Fenerbahce, where he spent just 6 months with the Turkish club before joining Inter on another 6-month loan deal. That is ANN News this evening. Thank you for joining us. For details on these and other breaking stories, visit our website, annafrica.news. Conversation continues on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. I am Olajumoke Olatuji. Have a pleasant evening.